Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the NatureCity podcast. I'm your host, Carl Pradelli, and I'm also the CEO and co-founder of the company, having started NatureCity over 20 years ago with my wife, Beth. And since then, it's been our pleasure to have served over 500,000 Americans by offering them the best supplements we can make. This is part two of our follow-up discussion on fraudulent supplements and how to protect yourself from being a victim of this fraud and buying and taking fake products. If you missed part one last week, it's worth taking 15 minutes and checking it out when you can. I addressed some specific questions we received on how to avoid buying a counterfeit product where a bad actor imitates and replicates a product sold in the marketplace. We also discussed why relying solely on third-party testing doesn't necessarily protect you from fraud. I also shared, importantly, what specifically to look for when researching a supplement brand and the importance of experience in this industry. And finally, we spent some time talking about the importance of the manufacturing relationship for a legitimate supplement brand and how NatureCity's relationship with one of the premier manufacturers helps ensure you're getting what the label says you're getting. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of looking for branded ingredients in your supplements, which matters for getting the results you want and for safety reasons, and also helps protect you from fraud in ways that may not be so obvious. Let's start by defining what we mean by branded supplement ingredients, branded ingredients in supplements. These are ingredients that are trademarked and sold under a specific brand name versus a generic raw material. So, for example, instead of just vitamin K2, we use the MenoQ7 brand. For pomegranate, we use the Pomex P30 brand, and so on. NatureCity supplements are all made with branded ingredients, with a couple of exceptions where it just didn't make sense. So why are branded ingredients so important? For starters, they typically offer premium quality and they're backed by published scientific research and studies that validate health benefits and effects as well as safety. As you may know, clinical studies with humans are very expensive. Typically they can run, well into the 6 or 7 figures, $700,000 up to maybe over $1 million, depending on the size of the study. Because of the high cost, the companies investing in these studies use the highest quality ingredients to give them the best chance of good results. And this research also helps establish how much of the ingredient we need to take to get desired results. With higher quality ingredients, often it's found that a smaller dose can give better results. We actually discussed this recently on the podcast in regards to Verity resveratrol, a brand of resveratrol where less can be more. With the significant investment the makers and owners of these branded ingredients make in the ingredient, they are understandably very protective of that investment, which is good for you and us at NatureCity because they don't want their ingredients being part of fraudulent supplements. When you look at a label for a NatureCity supplement, not only do you see our logo and our name, but you also see the branded ingredients in the supplement facts panel listed very clearly, what brand it is and what it contains. Also on the ingredients on some of the other panels, you'll see who owns these branded ingredients as the registered trademark owner. And you'll also see the ingredient logo. So if a supplement is fraudulent or subpar in some way, it can affect not only NatureCity, but our branded ingredient partners as well. So they're very vigilant about the quality of the ingredient they're supplying and also want to make sure it's really in the product. This is very good for you because you have another party with a significant vested interest in making sure your supplement is legitimate and then you have a good experience taking the product. You don't get this necessarily you don't get this at all with generic non-branded ingredients. There's no real party checking up like you have with the branded ingredients. Just to give you an example, sometimes a branded ingredient will buy products that their ingredient is listed in or contains and test it independently to make sure the ingredient is both present and also there in the right amount listed on the label. Something else they'll do is make sure there's no funny stuff going on by confirming with us that our manufacturer is buying the correct amount of the ingredient to make the number of bottles we need. So, give you an example of this. Say, branded ingredient will contact me and say, "Hey, VitaQuest, which is our manufacturer, VitaQuest just placed an order with us. How many bottles are you making?" And I'll say 5,000 bottles. How much raw material did they order? And we'll go through the math and see if it makes sense. If they only bought enough material to make 1,000 bottles instead of 5,000 bottles, well, that's a red flag that needs to be investigated. We've never had this happen with VitaQuest, but some less scrupulous manufacturers will use some of the branded material, but fill the rest of the capsule with cheap generic material. Okay, so maybe it's 20% of the good branded stuff, and the rest is some cheap generic material. There's another way fraud happens in the industry, and the branded ingredient owners want to protect against this happening. So, without you or other customers really knowing it, there's this cross checking being done behind the scenes with makers of branded ingredients that helps protect you from fraud. Now, as I mentioned at the outset, I think you should look for branded ingredients in supplements regardless, because they typically offer greater benefits and better safety profiles. But this extra layer of protection against fraud is a really nice bonus. However, just because an ingredient has it has been trademarked and has a brand name, doesn't automatically make it a good ingredient or something that NatureCity will use. There's a lot more to it, including having a good quality library of research support with this specific ingredient, and also other things like how it's grown, where it's grown. Obviously, we don't like GMO ingredients. That's important to us. Sustainability is important, and a host of other factors that are considered. And as I mentioned, generally, you'll get the highest quality ingredients with the branded ingredients that will check all these boxes that we need. Now, sometimes I'll have suppliers, for example, who want a meeting saying they have a lot of branded ingredients to show me. And I'll say, okay, do you have any research to support these ingredients? And say, well, we have a test tube study or a study with mice, and I'll just have to politely say and explain, it doesn't work for us when you have a good quality published study in humans, along with safety data. You're welcome to come see me. We're very disciplined and selective about what we use in your products, and usually this assessment happens over a long period of time. I'll give you an extreme example because it's actually very timely. We're about to use two branded ingredients that were first presented to me over 12 years ago. I think, well, one was certainly over 12, the other may have been 10. But anyway, a long, long time ago. At the time, the science wasn't as developed as we like, and it just didn't make sense for NatureCity. Now, to their credit, each of these companies kept investing in research of their ingredients, and now have an extensive body of research that's been published. And they kept in touch, sharing new information. And now they'll be part of a couple of products that I'm actually very excited to share with you in coming months, where we'll discuss in future episodes of the NatureCity podcast. Now, I know this is an extreme example, but a big part of what I do at NatureCity is lead the product development side with the help of many people in the industry I trust and have worked with for many years. I take this work very, very seriously, right? To me, if you're putting something in your body, you want to make sure it's the best possible ingredient that offers the most benefits and also has been shown to be safe to use. Your family, and I only want the best for you. So I hope you have a better understanding of the value of branded ingredients in your supplements and why that's all we use at NatureCity. Okay, not only helps you give you the best results and best what I feel is the best bang for your money, but also helps protect you from this issue of fraud that's being experienced in the supplement industry. So that's it for this week's episode. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to see future episodes, or listen to us, to the podcast on your favorite streaming services. We're on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. And you can also sign up, go to our website, naturecity.com, and sign up for our email list. You'll be alerted each week when a new podcast drops, so you won't miss out on the latest and greatest in the world of supplements. This is Carl Pradelli, and I will see you next week.